Everidge, nestled deep within a valley and perpetually shrouded in an ethereal mist, was a town seemingly forgotten by time. Towering pines stood sentinel along the outskirts, their branches gnarled and reaching like skeletal fingers. The town itself was a relic of a bygone era, its buildings weathered and worn, whispering tales of a history long past. And overlooking it all, perched precariously atop a sheer cliff face, was the imposing structure that housed WZRD 103.6 FM, the lone voice that dared to pierce the silence of Everidge. WZRD was not your average radio station. Its signal, notoriously weak and prone to interference, only seemed to reach those within a 10-mile radius of Everidge, as if the town itself held a tight grip on its secrets. Local folklore whispered of strange occurrences surrounding the station, tales spun around crackling fires on cold winter nights. But the residents of Everidge knew better than to put stock in such things. After all, who would choose to live in such a place if they truly believed the stories? The old radio station building stood as a testament to these chilling tales. Its stone facade, eroded by wind and rain, seemed to absorb the surrounding mist, creating an aura of perpetual gloom. Locals often spoke of seeing flickering lights in the dead of night, accompanied by the faintest strains of music, seemingly from another era. But these were dismissed as tricks of the fog and the wind, the product of overactive imaginations fueled by local lore. Yet the stories persisted, clinging to the town like the ever-present fog. Derek Cole, the nighttime host of WZRD, thrived on skepticism. His voice, a smooth baritone tinged with an unmistakable air of irony, cut through the static with an almost tangible cynicism. He revelled in debunking local myths, his laughter echoing through the empty studio as he dissected every ghostly encounter and supernatural experience with the precision of a seasoned detective. His listeners, a small but devoted group of insomniacs and late-night drivers, tuned in as much for his wit as for the eerie tales he so readily dismissed. Derek viewed the stories as nothing more than harmless entertainment, fodder for his nightly monologues. He'd scoff at the notion of ghosts and ghouls, his laughter echoing through the aged microphones and out into the fog-laden night. His skepticism was as much a part of his persona as the vintage jazz records he spun between segments. To Derek, the world was a rational place, governed by logic and reason. The supernatural was nothing more than a fabrication, a means to explain the unexplainable. He took a certain perverse pleasure in receiving letters from listeners who claimed to have experienced the supernatural. These often detailed encounters with spectral figures in the woods, disembodied voices whispering from the static of their radios, or objects moving inexplicably in the dead of night. Derek would read these letters on air, his tone a mixture of amusement and thinly veiled mockery. He'd dissect each story, offering perfectly rational explanations for every chilling detail. To him, fear was nothing more than a lack of understanding, a puzzle to be solved with logic and a healthy dose of skepticism. One evening, as Derek prepared for his show, he stumbled upon a peculiar item tucked away in the back of a dusty drawer. It was a letter, yellowed with age and addressed to the station in a spidery, almost illegible hand. The postmark bore a date from 1987, the year Derek himself was born. Intrigued, he carefully slid a finger beneath the flap, breaking the seal that had held the letter's secrets for over 3 decades. The letter was a rambling, incoherent account of a haunting penned by a woman who claimed to have once worked at the station. She described strange occurrences, shadows moving in the periphery, whispers seeping through the headphones when the studio was supposed to be empty. Her words were filled with a palpable terror, a sense of dread that seemed to seep from the very paper itself. The letter ended abruptly, the last few lines scratched out in a frenzy of ink, as if the writer had been interrupted mid-sentence. Derek, despite his usually unflappable skepticism, felt a shiver crawl up his spine as he read the letter. There was something about the raw terror in the woman's words, the desperation that bled through the faded ink, that unsettled him. He tried to dismiss it as the ramblings of a disturbed mind, but a seed of doubt had been planted in the fertile ground of his curiosity. He decided to read the letter on air that night, his usual mocking tone replaced by a hesitant curiosity.